Welcome to my channel. In today's episode I'm going to do this different approach to a problem that there is not that much information about, or at least not in the explicit way. Let's say you have this JSON and you have some properties that you want to work with, and you want to remove them without making any other modifications. Ideally, in C Sharp, you have usually a model that you cast you serialize the payload to. But when you have to work with these strings or these payloads, there are times that you need to transform it, even if it's a valid JSON, because you want to discard some operation or just to switch properties because I don't know, maybe the API changed. And you have the model, you need to adapt it or remove some properties just to avoid runtime errors, and you are aware of, or you are doing a hotfix and you are trying to clean this. Usually this kind of cleaning suits better in other dynamic languages, but if you want to do it in C Sharp, we have this usually very used library called Newtonsoft.Json, and that's what I'm going to show you. But usually you have a model that is tied up to that. So if you don't need that, or the need is pretty specific, maybe you want to try this approach. So first, let's do this. Just install the Newtonsoft.Json and check if we can use it properly. I hope. So usually what we do is just var result equals jsonconverter, right? JSON that deserialize object of type object. As we don't have a model, and we just deserialize the constant here. What we do is doing that. The delegate, and we just run it. And as you can see, nothing happened. And the serialization went the right way. So, but if you here put your model and you have like a field that is called hobby, it will put this invalid data. Yes, I know you can just run some ifs at the runtime, but it could be not that convenient at some cases if the payload is too repetitive and too very big. So what we will try to do is to write a custom deserializer. And what is a custom deserializer or serializer? So we will help to put these custom roles inside a specific rules, or a specific rule that we have that we want to be applied when serializing or deserializing the JSON. In this case, when reading the JSON, you can do the same when writing the JSON. So let's go to it. So first, we need to create a new class, but as we are using .NET Fiddle, just for let's say avoid entering in the field of you use these tools and I don't have them. You can use this, it's free, and just run this code with me and code with me. So it will tell you which we will inherit from the original JSON convert class, JSON converter, and we will implement our own converter, as I say. So it will tell you which contracts are you missing, which methods you have to overwrite. So we will do that. So let's do a private. It will have to be public override bool can convert, and it will be a type. It will always return true. So we can really convert from. This means that if we can transfer this JSON in another kind of object, and we have to include some other methods that are mandatory to we have. Let me check the documentation quickly. Okay, also to implement public override JSON, and this method receives a JSON writer. I will call writer, an object that will hold the value, and to avoid JSON the serializer. And what we will do here in the override is just to use the serializer that we pass in and serialize with the writer our values. Basically, we're indicating we have a custom deserializer that we pass when writing a JSON. We want just to write it the way that it indicates to. And it's with those one thing. That was a mind. Now the method that we are interested in. That is the part when we read the JSON. So when we are reading the JSON, so we are parsing from the JSON to the model that we need, we want to apply the rows. So we have to override the read JSON method. The read the JSON method signature says that we have a JSON reader. We have a type, object type. You can check this in the documentation, and if you have an ID, you can just use the signature. Finally, I will just copy this down because it's the same thing. And a serializer. Object existing value, and the serializer. Okay. So what we have is this main class called J token. What it just does is enclosing everything that you could pass: a single JSON, JSON arrays, objects that are a mixture of that. So we will cover most of the cases using a J token. So we will load the reader, that is just our JSON reader. We will load the token from whatever is being run. So we will create this method that is like the let's say clean token, and we will pass the token. We will implement that, and finally we want just to return the token transformed to an object, and it will hold the object type. That is basically the type that is coming to us. In this case, it's a JSON object. It will pass a JSON object to us, and we want to deserialize it to read it after cleaning with a simple reader, not with the custom one that we just created, because it will create this iterative thing. So you can pass a another deserializer if you want. I will just use one that we need. JSON with JSON serializer. We will just create a new one. The default one will do it. So JToken requires is Newtonsoft that. It means that is link. Yes, we will require link you for Newtonsoft.Json. So we can explore the properties of the JToken. JToken usually has properties, and it has a thing that we can access in runtime. I have a very bad signature because this thing has to return an object because it's a read where I need to serialize that. Avoid the write because it doesn't return anything. Okay. Now we have to implement what is the method that we are applying to the interesting one, that is the public. We will return here a JToken if I'm not wrong. Or we can just transform it in memory. Let's transform it in memory. At the end it's just a pointer. I say client public void client token. And we will have a JToken. So we will pass in second token. Here it comes the interesting part. So right now the program should compile, but it won't do anything. In fact, we just don't do anything, like return token. Return. We don't have to return because it won't do anything. So until now we have a valid way of serializing. Oh, I can't serialize with this. I will just add my custom serializer so I can use it. So I will create settings that settings equals to a new JSON serializer settings. So I will pass it down the new serializer that I just created. I will use a converter for this. I will instantiate the class in converter. What it will do is just pass it down my converter as the assigned converter to use in the conversion. So I will pass those settings. And if I run this, it won't pass anything. So right now my converter is just doing what a normal converter does. I'm using the default one. Now it's time to modify. So first idea, if, because we always have to check for this, token is null, we have to, I can just do return immediately. Let's do it with, I'm not that familiar with return. We do any return if there is no token there. We want to generate a stack where we hold which part of the JToken we are transforming. So we will create a stack of kind of JToken because we will have a lot of token. It's basically a collection of data. We can just destructure if we find more objects inside. So this will apply of a very big JSON, and that's the idea. You can do it using functional approach or this kind of approach where you use recursion, but I prefer to do it iteratively. So we are low on memory. It's just a little more verbose, but it will help with that. So we will push the current token to the stack. And then what? Where are we going with this? Well, while we have things on the stack, so the stack count is greater than 0, so we have elements to apply rules to, we will use the current token as the top of the stack. So stack that pop, and we will have a new J token. So what we will do is just a switch on the current token type. So what we have here is what? Just we want to manage 3 cases. When it's a J object, that is the thing that we have here. When we will receive a value, it's a normal value like a 3, and if we receive some other thing, I hope the normal behavior. So let's try first the J token type that object semicolon. So we have bar object. So we will what we are going to do. We are going to try to parse our J token to a J object, because we now, with this case, we can. So you have a J object that we will be able to access properties. So this parse will be safe always. And we will try to get the properties that we want to remove. So properties to remove. We will use this kind of thing of JList. Is JList of property? Let me check the documentation just quickly. Oh yes, J property. So we have a new list of J property. So we will create a list of J properties that we want to remove from the object, so we don't have to do this weird thing like converting this to a dictionary, then guessing the type and then reserializing it. It will just it won't make things very, very good for us. So I think that we will need this using system collections generic to allow us to use oh, I missed the initializer. I was thinking why this thing is complaining. Okay, so yeah, it's just to iterate the collection. So for each property that we will have in our just parse object, we can iterate through all the properties and check its value. So in this case, we want to remove those empty strings. So we don't have information at all, like this one. We don't want to the ones that have the hyphens, and we don't want the ones that has a custom text that we don't allow it. So the idea is just to these properties and its value will have an associated type. So what I could basically check when the parser does the parse is see that we are doing a string. Those are valid strings. So let's check for that. If prop has a value, the type equals to J token type. So we will check if this is a string. And what else? So what we need here? Oh, we need a collection that will contain what we have, what we believe that are the non-allowed values. So idea is to have a collection where we can explore those kind of values that we don't need. So what we will try is just to match things. So we'll create a property here. What is it? Here in the cleaning. So let's create a public static read only. You can try from the database hash. I'll create a hash set because it's very quick. Of a string that I will call bad. Because just unallowed values. This will be just a new hash set of kind string, and we will we'll just put some property. And we will just put the things that we want to check for, and just do like this thing and a string that empty. We will check for this. What are you complaining? It's not equals. So the idea is just to have the unallowed. That's why they are equal, right? Unallowed values. Unallowed values. Contains, I think that it will have to do a contains, right? Yes. Contains the property value that just prop that value type of string. So the idea is just to check the value of the type of the property and its type. And as we know that those are strings, because we are expecting them, we can just compare them. If this happens, that I'll allow to myself to call have an extra. I need an extra parenthesis here. So we will add to the list properties to remove that, add our property. So basically we checked for the property to be in the stack. Else if what we'll do if that property isn't matching what we need, and then which I don't have an exception. It's basically this, but very similar. But what happens if the value is not a J object, but the token that we are just trying to parse has another object, so it's a nested object. So we will have to repeat the process. Or also, we can just check if the same type is a J array, because those ones will need to have their own iteration. So J token type that array. So it's a token type that array. We will just enter them on the stack and repeat the process. So that's 5 basically. The stack that push. Pushes with capital P. Push. the prop, that value. So we will process it after. So that's the case that we want to check. After we do that, and we have the properties, we just want to do for each, just to remove the properties. Var prop in properties to remove. And what we will do is just remove the property. From where we are removing them. We are removing them we want to remove them from the token. Yes, that's what we break. So we will have another case. Case 2. This is a J array. J token type. That's array. Array. We will, as we know there is a J array, we will cast it working token. So each var item in the array. If we have an array of weird things, so we have an array of arrays, and we have an array of values that are just more arrays. What we want is just to do the stack. So stack that push our. So what we are doing here is just removing the properties, creating a list of properties that we want to remove from the object. So we are creating them, and then we are removing them from the current token. Right? Let's check what else we have here. If object item, and we are missing the break. And for our other case, nothing we have to do. Fault, break, semicolon. So basically what we are doing here is just, let's go again. We will create properties that we want to remove. So this property will have a name because it's a J property, and we want to remove it from the J token. And that's what we are going to do. As this will create a pointer that we will have here that we can just remove from the J token object. So we are just validating these values, and if everything goes well, I should see the completely erased thing. Let's check. Yes. And those, my friends, is the way that we can just add things. And now if we have another value, let's say we don't want to allow the word hello. We click here. Now it's not here, and the details object is empty. And they say no, we don't need to have the not selected one, so we will run it again, and we will have back this. And if we do some more nested objects, it will behave the same. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you want to try something else. And here the code, you can check it, or ask me in the comment if you need it. I will upload somewhere. So take care.